But Robin Williams taught literature, and he understood that art form was about passion, and it was about doing something that was a little bit not quite as cerebral as what they were used to doing. And the movie was about how he and his teaching skills and his personality would try to draw the passion out of these young men. And there was one character in the movie that was particularly walled in, and he was very shy, and he was just kind of clumsy. He was smart, but he would just stumble over himself. And it was like this guy, as hard as he would try, he could never get him to, come out. That passion to arouse, to come out. And at the very end of the movie, there was a scene, and it was the climax of the movie where that one guy, at one moment, just intense moment, it just leaps out of him. And he stands up on the chair in front of the whole class, my captain, to his teacher. And they were like, oh my gosh, this guy? And that passion, it aroused the other people to just rise up. And it was just an incredible scene. And I think that is a great picture of passion. Great picture. I was thinking back when I was an adolescent. And I've been passionate about a lot of different things. But I remember there was one time, and fortunately it was really short-lived, that I was very passionate about playing practical jokes on people. Is anybody else in there like that? I hope I'm not the only one, but it was very short-lived. Okay, I saw a couple of hands, I don't feel so bad. But I remember it was about 8th, 9th grade, somewhere in there, and I love playing practical jokes on people. And I was passionate about it. And I remember one time in school, in gym class, we had about 60 guys in our gym class. And I had a really good relationship with our coach, and we would tease each other all the time. We were always playing practical jokes on each other. And I remember one day we were out playing softball, and this was a really huge gym class, so all the 8th grade guys were all out there, 60 of us, and the coach was out there, pitching the ball, and our team was up for bat, and I was sitting there on the dirt, and I remember one of our guys hit the ball, and he ran to first base, and he was obviously safe. He was right in front of us, and the coach called him out. And for some reason, in a moment of passion, I just had this practical joke thing come out of me, and I thought, well, I'll make it like the big leagues whenever they get really mad. So I jumped up, ran to the coach, and started kicking dirt, like they do in the big leagues. And in my mind, my innocent mind, now that seems really dumb now, but in my innocent mind at that time, it was all in fun, good taste. But what happened is my passion in that moment aroused the passion of all 60 other kids in that gym class, and they jumped up with me, and we were all out there kicking dirt. 60 of us out there. And the coach was like, everybody, 20 laps. And so I was like, oh no, 20 laps, 20 push-ups, 100 push-ups. And he got on to us. And I can remember running and thinking, uh-oh, I shouldn't have done that. and as we were running, it was like the guys that would pass me, every one of them was like, thanks, Fortner, bam! And I had bruises all the way up and down my arm from that. Passion, okay? Example of passion. Now, here's something that I was thinking about, is that and we're talking about dreams. The series is called One Dream, and that dream is simply to partner with our loving Heavenly Father to connect people with Him. That is His dream. And that's what we're all about. And that's what we're doing. And every dream worth having, whether it be something like that or even something a little bit less, whether it's playing a practical joke in gym class, whatever. Every dream that's worth having goes through a cycle. It goes through a path. And I want to just share that with you a little bit. You can follow along in your notes right there. But the first stage of passion is what I call, number one, the eureka stage. Eureka, that comes from that's a Greek term that means I have found it. And it was a story of a guy who actually discovered how to figure out how to measure the value of gold. And the story goes, Eureka, I have found it. Okay, and that's the stage of passion where you have some knowledge, where you figure something out for the first time and say, I've got something here that's special. And then the second phase is the hunger phase. That's the phase where you realize this is good, but I have a hunger for more of this. And it goes very quickly into stage number 3. And stage number 3 is what I would call the pursuit phase. That is where you realize that this is a passion that is worth, not only am I hungry for it, I want more of it, but I must pursue. And you go after it with everything you got. And then number 4 is what I would call the capture phase. And that is whenever you get a little piece of it, and you get a taste of it and say, it was worth it. And then the very final phase is what I would call the reform phase of this cycle. And that is whenever you capture it, you realize, well, what do I do now? And it's either I move on to the next level with the stream or else I drop it. And I believe with any dream worth having, you can trace that cycle through anything. I mean, let's just kind of put it to the test. Maybe someone who is passionate about sports, loves to do sports, okay? There is one stage where they realize, I like this sport. Eureka, I like it. Hunger, I want to do it more. I'm hungry for it. Pursuit, that's the practice phase, where you practice it and you're out there and you're doing the hard work. Then the capture phase, that's where you get the win. For the first time, I've tasted a little bit of this victory. And then the reform phase, what do I do now? Do I practice more? Do I go on to the next level? And it can reform, and it can actually go through that cycle many, many, many times. And so maybe the Little League baseball player at one point can reform it to the point of, okay, it's a college scholarship at some time. And it just moves on to those different levels. You can follow this with love, okay? With dating someone, with finding that special someone. Eureka, there she is. Wow, I kind of like her. Hunger, I want to see her more. I want to get to know her more, or him. Pursuit, that's the fun one. Man, what's her schedule? Where is she at? What's her phone number? Let me get the flowers. Let me bring her the candy. That's the pursuit phase. And then the capture phase, she's my girl. And then the reform phase is what we would call, years back, DTR, define the relationship. What's the next phase? What depth? Does it go on? Maybe it reforms to even marriage someday. And then it moves on to the next level. You can trace it with there. Now, here's the thing, though, that's really cool, is you can trace this with your relationship with God and with the passion. Not just a passion, but the passion. Let's check it out. Eureka, there's a gap. I am sinful. I need help. Here's the cross. Here's Jesus. I've got this hammer in my hand. I have nailed him there. I am guilty. There is his loving face saying, I forgive you. And that's what we call being born again. Whenever you come to that realization, you lay it all down for him. Jesus, you are mine. I want you as mine. That's Eureka. Then hunger. I want more of this. This is good. I'm hungry for this. Pursuit. God, I want to know you more. I want to learn about you. I pull that Bible off the shelf and I want to learn about this loving Father who has so captured my attention and captured my heart. That's the pursuit. Then the capture phase. Maybe that would be attaining the joy that comes from that relationship with God. Attaining peace, fulfillment. That hunger is satisfied. That pursuit is satisfied. And then that goes on to reform as well. What do I do now? God, what is your will for my life? What am I supposed to do? What about these other people around me that don't know you? And then it reforms and then it goes on again and again. And here's the question for you right now. Is on that scale, on that cycle, with the passion, with where you're at with Christ, where would you be on that scale? Has it, maybe it's just happened, it's just been Eureka, I just figured it out, that God is mine. And I would challenge you to move it to the next phase, hunger. Or maybe you're in the pursuit phase. You're pursuing God and you're wanting to know him more. And there's still some things that are just you're not real sure about, but you're pursuing him. Maybe that's where you're at. Or maybe you're in the capture phase where you understand the joy that it is to be a Christian and you're trying to figure out, where do I go from here? Where are you at on that phase? Now here's just a little side note here about this.